Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Let's get straight to it.
Major update to the Panama organic meteorite that crash landed in Panama. Okay, so Kin originally found this meteorite rock in a flaming crater not too far from his home, right? So he found it in this fiery crater. Now, something just happened in China. They shot a meteorite out of the sky. They blew up a meteorite. When has this ever happened, right? Coinkydink? I don't know, China, what is going on, right? Originally, when I first saw this, I thought it was either a spray-painted potato or this was a type of devil's finger fungus, okay? Which is like an egg-shaped thing that grows out and it looks kind of similar, right? Look at the state of the object that it now is, okay? So he broke it apart, grew it in Petri dishes, right? Now look what it's grown into. What in all things holy on Mother Earth is that, bruv, with a capital B, mate? That is venom, bro. That, it's moving. I don't even know if this is fake anymore. Is this real? Right? Bro's just got this growing in his house, mate. What is that about? We need to put that in the blast furnace immediately and get rid of this thing. I don't know how he hasn't had his door kicked in by the Panama government of wherever he is. Guys, what do you think, man?
I think we are venom. Shout out to Interstellar Discussion. Besides this, the meteorite in China that got blasted out the air, they had to know it was on the way to catch it like that in real time. But yo, what's going on? Why are meteorites falling out the sky? And are they just meteorites? What is really going on?
No para. Se me ha ocurrido algo. Bueno, ustedes me han dicho, me han recomendado algo.
Yeah, it was a jump scare. I thought it got him. Yo, why is he trying to put it in a freezer? Because it's growing? Yo, this is better than Stranger Things on Netflix. Shout out to Ken Panama.
From cave paintings to space telescopes, mysterious anomalies have been recorded in our skies for as long as we can remember. Massive objects appearing to descend from above, often surrounded by beings kneeling in fear and awe. Many ancient texts like the Anunnaki, the Book of Enoch, the Mayan Popol Vuh, and the Vedas from Hindu mythology all warn of some form of all-powerful watchers that come down from the heavens and direct the course of humanity to their will. Today, deep space telescopes detect faraway visitors making their way towards us, like 3I Atlas, the enormous interstellar object set to pass by us in November, which many scientists have been warning exhibits characteristics of intelligent design. A pattern we've kinda seen recorded across thousands of years of human existence, etched into the walls of caves, stone tablets, statues, parchment scripts, books, and now the internet. Visitors that, according to their stories, fundamentally rewrote the trajectory of civilization as we know it. But don't worry guys, it's probably just a comet, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, please breathe through your clothing. Stay low.
We on a smoked out goddamn plane. Look at bruh.
A Wall Street Journal investigation reveals that toxic fumes on thousands of flights have caused severe brain injuries to passengers and crew. Early symptoms like dizziness and vomiting often worsened over months, leaving many with permanent damage to their nervous systems. Reports of these incidents have surged in recent years, with many linked to Airbus A320 jets.
You ever heard of Operation Big Buzz? 1955, the U.S. Army bred 1 million female mosquitoes that are known to spread yellow fever. Roughly 300,000 mosquitoes were loaded into bombs and dispersed from airplanes, as well as released from the ground in small boxes around the United States to check to see if they can spread bioweapons through insects. So these mosquitoes weren't infected by a disease or whatever that we know of, but it was just a test to see, can we drop them from bombs? And the conclusions were, yes, mosquitoes survive from aerial drops shockingly well. Tests proved that mosquitoes could, in theory, be used to spread disease like yellow fever, malaria as a weapon. Yay! Well, they did it a couple times. They had Operation Big Itch, which they released fleas everywhere. And then they did Operation Dropkick, which is they released a ton of mosquitoes in Florida.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cuba in the 1970s and 80s accused the U.S. government of doing that exact same thing. So they accused the U.S. of releasing that type of mosquito to spread dengue. A 1981 outbreak killed over 150 people, mostly children. Cuba formally accused the CIA and the UN, though hard proof never surfaced.
Well, yeah, how do you prove where the mosquito came from?
They're just thinking of everything. It's like that fog they put over San Francisco, and now we got mosquitoes. And this was in the 50s. They're doing something today.
Now we have that new thing going around where these ticks bite you and people are now allergic to meat.
That's crazy.
It's like an evolution of this disease that ticks can carry, where if it bites you, people now cannot consume meat without getting sick.
Wow.
That would tick me off.
Okay, you guys, I'm freaking. So I'm just sitting here reading Dan Brown's new book, Secrets of Secrets, and in it he talks about a golem that receives something called ether, a non-sexual orgasm, to unlock a gateway to view the true reality. And there's so much here that I'm going to tell you. So basically, without spoiling the book, there's this woman who has a new theory on consciousness, and she gets kidnapped. And this golem thinks it's protecting her, and he has been following her. He's upset that she likes this guy because he thinks no one will understand her like the golem does. What does this sound like to you? Okay, let me make some connections. So basically, a golem is a mystical guardian in the Jewish folklore that is made out of inanimate matter, such as clay or stone. And these mystical guardians often became uncontrollable, very similar to Frankenstein. When they brought this inanimate clay to life, it would overpower its master. But no one talks about why. No one connects it to mental health. We're just all supposed to think these things are real monsters, and we're all still in this fear paradigm. And this is why I'm making this video, and I'm going to connect it to something insane now. So the golem has an inscription on its head. They are Hebrew letters that mean truth. Golems basically sacrifice their own comfort to comfort the person, they're loyal to's pain. Are you getting what this sounds like? This is trauma. Oh, okay, so by the way, golem means raw material. Raw material is another way of saying dark material, dark matter. Plasma is dark matter, and trust me, this will come out very soon in cosmology. There is no need in a plasma cosmology for dark matter or dark energy. Look it up. Not pseudoscience, you mofos. So how does this connect to trauma? Let me tell you. And this isn't like trauma. Like, this is really interesting and can be the reason why you have bad experiences when you see beings in your life and in your head. So in the book, Dan Brown actually talks about the legend where the golem becomes the sponsor. And the rabbi survives his attack and smears away one of the letters on its head. And instead of now truth, the golem means death, and it collapses lifeless. So basically, we've been taught to fight our traumas. We've been taught to fear them, to kill them, when really we need to heal them and listen to them. We need to remember that we created these monsters and they are us. They are like our unconscious children. They are made out of what I call 4D plasma, 4-dimensional plasma. You can also call it dark plasma. It is raw material, prima materia, potential energy, which is literally plasma in science. But this is more like a living ether. And it thinks that it's protecting you. It is holding your trauma, your fear. This anthropomorphized clay is holding everything you can't hold. It is very real to us. And when we come across beings like this, like demons, we have to realize all we have to do is take our power back and heal our trauma, and they will disintegrate and turn back into these little sweeties, and they will evolve. When we remember that we created this 4-dimensional collective unconscious space and all the beings within it, and that's different than the 5th-dimensional light beings, but that's for another time, which I talk about in my book, we realize we have power over these monsters, always. We are not victims.
Yo, that's that alter ego, the dark side of the moon type shit, you know? Yo, I totally feel where she coming from. The alter ego is a mother. She makes a good point how it thinks it's protecting you, like the Incredible Hulk with David Banner. Shout out to Dana Kipple.
That ain't square, bro. $4 Oh, chill, gang. That's me. Hey, no.
During the assassination, there were people beside him and around him that were making signals with their hands and with their hat. I don't know, like this was all set up and it was planned, or was it just a random person that just wanted to, you know, that hated him or just wanted him out like that?
Yeah. Like, what if this was just him actually fixing the hat?
Yeah, so if you look really closely to the video, you could see someone in the back touch his arm like this, and that's literally right before the gun goes off.
Yeah,
and
like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They did the signal and then boom, all you heard was...
And there was another one. There's a guy beside him.
Oh, the guy with the sunglasses?
Yeah. There's also another video when he got hit. There's this video footage, and I think it could just be a camera thing.
Okay.
But he had a ring on his finger up here.
See that.
And it moved down after he got shot to his pinky.
Moved down.
How does that even make sense? Why would that even make sense? Obviously, this is all theory.
Yeah, it's all theory.
Obviously, it's all theory.
So y'all, I think I know why 3 million people showed up in London for this massive test that took place. In fact, that is still happening right now, y'all. So boom, out of nowhere, the world's richest man popped up on the big screen with Tommy Robinson, who is the activist leader that's doing this whole thing in England. And Elon Musk has some very interesting things to say, y'all. And look at this. He was also caught wearing a shirt with an all-seeing eye that says, "What would Orwell do?" or "What will Orwell think?" Do you know who George Orwell is, y'all? But listen to what he had to say.
You choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die. You either fight back or you die.
Y'all, did you see his eyes? He meant business. He said that's the truth.
I think the British public are telling the world that they're ready to fight back.
Good. Yes.
Come on, Ray Britain.
And then he chimes into the Charlie Kirk incident and states that like the left is a whole bunch of murderers. Like, is he saying that the left is the one that, you know, unalived them?
And then you see how much violence there's on the left. With our friend Charlie Kirk getting murdered in cold blood this week, and people on the left celebrating it openly. The left is the party of murder and celebrating murder.
And the reason why I brought up the name George Orwell, alluding to the fact that Elon Musk is also wearing his shirt, is because here's the guy over here. He was a novelist and author. He was famous for writing one of the 2 famous books called Animal Farm, where basically, allegorically speaking, a group of animals overthrow their government because of lies, deception, and all the manipulation. And ironically enough, that's the same thing that's happening in London right now. So they termed the coin Orwellian, which is used to describe as government overreach, mass surveillance, and just a whole bunch of wrong stuff that the government is doing to the people. So that is very interesting. That's what's happening in London right now, y'all. I told y'all there is no coincidence, but that's why the people in London are right now, you know, stepping in their Air Force Ones. But did y'all know what's happening right now? Let me know down in the comments below. Y'all be telling y'all the shift is here. Let's continue to get it. Peace out.
3 million people. That's a lot of people. Shout outs to London. Shout outs to Conscious Juice. But that shirt Elon was wearing is crazy, for sure. What he said was wild. Really ominous, if you ask me.
At this point, y'all, people are not even hiding their evil intentions. They are letting it be known how they really feel about certain situations. This man right here was on live television when he said the most wildest shit. And it got the whole goddamn world looking at him like, you really said that on live TV? Y'all gotta understand that as the days keep going on, things are becoming more apparent that it's just getting dark and evil. Listen to what Brian Kilmeade said they should do to the homeless people.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice.
Listen.
Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you got to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now. Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Out of all things you can say, this man said involuntary lethal injection. Kill him. Like what? Y'all take a good look at this man's face. They're not trying to hide it no more. Y'all tell me what y'all notice. And also, let me know how y'all feel about this down below in the comments.
I feel that's the absolute wrong thing to say. Involuntary injection? Like, yo, that just sounds crazy. That was live TV. That's crazy. Gotta love your homeless people, man. Shout outs to all my homeless people. I love you. You out there right now, keep your head up. And I love you.
Well, y'all, yesterday, September 12th, the UNGA officially approved the two-state solution. And they did this through endorsing the New York Declaration, which was an outcome of a peace conference that they held back in July. Now, before I continue, I do want to mention that this video is strictly for entertainment purposes only. That conference was called the High-Level International Conference for the Peaceful Settlement of the Question of Palestine and the implementation of the two-state solution. UN Secretary General noted that the central question for peace in the Middle East is implementation of the two-state solution, where Israel and Palestine will live side by side in peace and security. So this is official. Applause rang out in the UN General Assembly Hall on Friday as countries endorsed a declaration on the peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine and the implementation of the two-state solution with Israel. Now, I read through the entire official document, the New York Declaration. You can look it up. You can read it yourself. It is a fascinating read. I did not find a time frame listed. There was no 7-year time frame. There was no time frame at all. I think it's possible that this might come later this month when they actually implement it. What there was a lot of is mentioning peace and security. Again, living side by side in peace and security with Israel as the only viable path to achieving just and lasting peace in the Middle East in accordance with international law. Now, you might be asking, well, if this has already been approved, what are they doing then later this month at the General Assembly? What are they doing during the high-level week then? Well, let me show you. Starting September 22nd, during the high-level week, they will be implementing the advancement of the two-state solution. Conference will reaffirm international commitments to the two-state solution and seek to mobilize support for its implementation. Now, what else are they going to be doing that week? Talking about an international financial system, which has absolutely nothing to do with this, I'm sure. Now, in order to implement such a system worldwide that would monitor everyone worldwide, that would require everyone worldwide to receive a mark that would allow them to buy or sell, you would have to have a total surveillance state that would have to require global AI governance. Now, if you've been paying attention, you've been watching the framework be put into place. So the two-state solution has officially been approved, which is, according to them, the only viable solution to bring peace to the Middle East. Now, biblically speaking, this is a decision to divide God's land. So let's see what God has to say about it. This is Joel chapter 3. In those days and at that time, when I restore the fortunes of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. There I will put them on trial for what they did to my inheritance, my people Israel, because they scattered my people among the nations and divided up my land. This is what is happening, and I think it's very possible that as soon as pen gets put to paper during the Feast of Trumpets to implement or confirm this peace treaty, this decision to divide God's land, God's wrath will begin, and that's when our bridegroom will come for his bride. Now, I have a few other things to say in response to everything that's been going on these last couple of days. I made a video sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I did not talk about Charlie. Not only did I lose some followers over it, these are just some of the choice words that were shared with me. Now, while I am extremely honored that my videos, that my voice have such an impact on the internet, I want to mention that this is not my platform. This is the Lord's, and therefore every single video that I do is a video that the Holy Spirit leads me to do. It is going to be prayed over. It is going to be intentional. I do not get on this platform and just make random videos, whatever I want to talk about. I only post content that the Holy Spirit leads me to post. Now, I am always direct and honest with y'all. I did not make a video about Charlie because I have questions about the situation, and I didn't want to be emotional and make a random emotional video without sitting back, thinking, analyzing, and praying over the situation before I discussed it. This is going to be said with love, but I am going to be very direct. There is something wrong with these kinds of comments, and thankfully there weren't a lot, and they were only on Instagram, which is very interesting, unless I just didn't see them on TikTok. But the ability of somebody to post these kinds of words in response to somebody just not talking about a current event and instead choosing to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, it is a bit concerning. Some went as far as to say they're not concerned right now. Now, the video I posted was sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, I have learned in the past almost 6 years that when there is something very large going on in the world that every single media outlet is covering, that means that they are trying to take your focus off of something else. Now, I'm not making a statement about the situation either way because I don't know. All I am saying is that I have a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions the moment it happened, and I have even more questions now, as I know a lot of you do. What I will say though is that it's almost like they don't want the world focused on the fact that it is possible that the end times prophecy that we have all been waiting for was just signed. It's almost like this is a distraction from the world's coming destruction.
Oh man, that's crazy. Shout out to Ashley Hayes 2.0. And since I've been looking at her content, I don't know who's more Christian than her. It's sad. People do be leaving some crazy comments. Totally feel it. And I do feel that we're being distracted from what just passed. At the UN, 142 were in favor. Like, dang, while we fight against each other. It's very concerning to me, for sure. An AI-based currency worldwide can't buy or sell. Oh, it sounds just like the mark of the beast, for sure. Now that's creepy. Makes you wonder, what are we fighting for?
Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Looks like homie just got JFK'd. That was not a firearm. That was a homemade weapon. Ball bearing shooter. And look at the other angle of that video. The massive trauma to that man's throat. That was not a round. That was something way bigger. And that dude raises his hand at the exact moment. Pop. Sound correlates and everything. Check that shit out. Gotta find him. Looks like he ran away right after. Check it out. I'm not tripping.
Was that what I just thought I saw? I've seen it a few times already. Every time, my reaction is the same. Shout outs to Christina Bruno, 1111. Shout outs to the bald-headed guy. With what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Like the trauma, was crazy. That's how I knew when I first seen it. I already knew it was a rat. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, man. I'm just in total disbelief right now. This rabbit hole just doesn't stop.
And away we go. Can anybody tell me why the FBI was investigating Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA? Back in 2022, during the Biden era, the FBI launched Project Arctic Frost, in which was an investigation on Trump and 92 other Republican groups. Now, they say they were investigating Trump and all these other groups for trying to overturn the 2020 election, which include the RNC, the Republican General Attorneys Association, and Turning Point USA, owned by Charlie Kirk. Now, that's just one example of how the FBI has been weaponized against us, but I do find it odd as well of how fast they're moving when it comes to this whole Charlie Kirk thing. Can we all agree that they're moving really fast with the crime scene? They caught the guy. It's barely even been a week. I mean, they already broken down and rebuilt to where people can walk over the crime scene again where Charlie died. I've even seen footage right after Charlie was ushered out when he got shot. People were already cleaning up the crime scene. It gets even weirder. So you guys know about the killer Tyler Robinson, right? So this is him in his room. This is his screensaver. So what is that, you may ask? That's actually Goat Island, New Zealand, but who cares, right? Well, if you remember what Kash Patel said in his press conference, I'm paraphrasing, he said, "Rest easy, brother. I'll meet you in Valhalla." Well, Valhalla is actually a summer house retreat in Goat Island, New Zealand. What are the chances? Now, wouldn't it be wild if Kash Patel and the FBI in late July went down to New Zealand to establish a brand new FBI office? This script is writing itself, you guys. I mean, I wonder if this is some type of Easter egg or breadcrumb that they're leaving us to show who's really behind this, because you guys gotta admit, this feels like 2.0 all the way. I mean, come on. And speaking of JFK, isn't it weird? Just like this scenario, they reopened the plaza to the public where JFK died just a day later. They restored public access to the plaza within 24 hours. And you guys remember this guy, George Zim, who they said it was at first when they arrested him, and then they said it wasn't, so they let him go, but he was just causing a distraction. Well, guess what? He just got hit with PDF file charges. Now, there's no way they didn't know that, so it sounds like they're tying up loose ends. He's probably gonna get Epsteined. And this guy was a master distraction artist. He called in a bomb threat to the Salt Lake City Marathon, and he said he was a witness to 9/11, and he was certain that Al-Qaeda did it. That tells you everything you need to know. And here's a bonus one for you guys, where a chief rabbi sends his condolence letter to Charlie Kirk's family on September 2nd. Now, he either has a time machine or it could be a typo. You be the judge. And these are the text transcripts that the FBI released between Tyler and the trans lover. I don't know about you guys, but this looks fabricated to me, because what 22-year-old uses complete sentences and punctuation? This looks like a 50-year-old trying to be a 22-year-old. And last, but definitely not least, on the same day Charlie Kirk dies, September 10th, Hulu releases this movie called Tempest, in which a politician gets shot in the neck in public. What are the chances? Anyways, make sure you guys get into my Telegram and let me know what you guys think below.
Predictive programming. Whoa, that's crazy. Shout out to Maverick Approach, putting this piece together right here. This movie's gonna be wild. I agree. At this point, it's insane.
Guarding, just the public here, if you're trying to decide what's real and what's fake, whether or not what we're telling you is real or fake, you can take Charlie in his own words. I mean, shout out to Village Crazy Lady on X. She's a great follow. She just reads Bill Ackman's diatribe and says, okay, she goes through the itinerary. Bill Ackman just confirmed that he hosted his meeting with Charlie on August 4th and 5th. Here's Charlie talking to Megyn Kelly the very next day on August 6th. Now, how do you think that meeting went down? Oh yeah, forgot to tell you that. That's the next day.
And I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're gonna be pro-Hamas, not like we're gonna, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. There's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here.
I've been there. You can't even lie to, you can't even attempt to lie to me about what is pouring off of both of them. I was someone who spent my life, my political life, defending Israel. Didn't really mean anything to me. It seemed like a good, argument on its surface that we should support them. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. Okay, now I know that that's not even true. But like, who cares? I was just like pro-America, and I wanted to focus on BLM and getting Black America better. And then that happened. I said one thing, and suddenly, like, whoa! It was like they just line up. I remember the tweet. I said, "No nation anywhere in the world has a right to commit genocide." And I was suddenly being flooded with messages from people. Dave Rubin, I remember this. I was like, "What did you mean by that?" And they're texting me. It's like, "We can help you." You can help me what? I said something that made sense. Like, this should not offend anybody. Nobody has genocide's not cool, right? Did something change? Where was I? It's when you tweeted it, and like you could have been clearer. You should have added that Israel would never do that. I'm like, okay, you guys are being insane. This statement stands. I was referring to Brian Mast's remarks, but even if I wasn't, and I just tweeted genocide is always wrong, that tweet should always be right. I can feel that energy, okay? When you're not sure who your friends are, they're starting to gaslight you. They're making you think you're going crazy for having sensible positions. You're either going to take being kicked in the chest, okay, and told to get out, and then suddenly they're all communicating behind your back, and just where he talks about that article, something goes out and suddenly it's like, what's going on? They're like trying to make you think you're going crazy because you're saying some sensible stuff. Charlie was at that moment. He says that he is receiving messages calling him an anti-Semite. So how can you lie right now and dispute it? And better question, why are you lying?
Maybe this is why they were so close, because they were going through the same thing, with Candace already having experience on the matter. And what's crazy is that I remember these little clips of that episode. I remember back then not really understanding what was going on. It was like, yo, this is way out of my league. And so I thought. But to see what it became now, it really makes you wonder and go back and like, listen, like, yo, to hear him say the things he said, to see what's happening now, it's heartbreaking. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. Shout outs to Candace Owens.
50 states, one Israel. What is that? Well, the state of Israel just posted this on their Instagram a few hours ago. Quote, the 50 states, one Israel delegation has landed in Israel. 250 American legislators will spend the coming week in Israel and experience it as it truly is. By doing this kind of thing, which I guess is required for all U.S. government officials. Okay, I just want to point out to everybody that since Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10th, the U.S. government has blocked the Epstein files release, passed an amendment that banned the Pentagon from boycotting Israel, proposed a bill from Marco Rubio to revoke passports for critics of Israel. The House also approved $650 million for Israel's missile defense, and as you just saw there, Marco Rubio visited Israel. And now, once again, there are 250 legislators in Israel at the 50 states One Israel delegation being serenaded with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, a song known as a Project Monarch trigger for mind control MK Ultra slaves to activate them to do bidding against their will. And this is all totally normal, right?
Their business that we need to address today, Council.
Just for the court's information, we did file just recently, within the last few minutes, a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. That was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. So that should be in the court's file.
Patel and the FBI are now saying that Tyler Robinson had written a note saying that if he has the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, he was going to take it. But now that note has been destroyed. Watch this.
The written note, we believe, did exist, and we have evidence to show what was in that note, which is, and I'm going to summarize, basically saying, the suspect wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location, in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
This whole thing seems to be getting weirder and weirder, and I have a lot of questions about that note. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Things just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Shout out to WFF News.
Your homie dead. Look at that. Your homie dead. He got shot in the head. Your homie dead.
Evil is real, people, and it kind of looks like that. Evil. Evil. Murder is bad. She is evil. Why are you being so hateful?
Why are you so hateful? Why are you so hateful? Why are you so hateful? Yeah.
Hey, can somebody tell her to back up?
Can you not put the camera in my face?
I'm sitting here. You walked up to me.
Okay, well,
I don't want this. I said rest in peace.
Okay, and I can
just leave it alone. Please don't come after me.
You've been
I want to be left alone.
I'm not emotional, ma'am. Don't tell me what I am and what I'm not. You can get out of my face because I could tell you what you are, but you won't like it.
You're being aggressive. You're being aggressive.
I'm not being aggressive. My voice is very calm. You're calling me aggressive because I'm a black woman.
Not at all.
No, we're not.
Why in the world would I see what I just saw in the picture that JD Vance posted last night that was about his address taking Charlie Kirk's place? Don't get mad at me, I'm just a messenger. And not even what I'm about to show you, but what I show you after. Okay, now first some receipts. The second I saw the picture, something stood out heavy in my brain, and you can see I started researching it right when he posted it. Sometimes you look at something and it screams without volume. This is what I saw. Alarm bells should already be going off in your head. There was two of them, one on each side of the fireplace. And yes, it was him that posted it. So already the top part looked awfully close to Lucifer's sigil. I'm not actually going to post a sigil, and I'll show you why in a minute, but it's much like the Google Play Store. That's actually what it's mimicked off of. But I was also feeling some Babylonian type sigil vibes. As time has progressed, as cultures have gotten together and then separated, the sigils have changed a little bit over time. But we still do have preserved sigils. So I wanted to compare this picture with all sigils on the web. I said, hello, whose demonic sigil is this close to? Can go all the way back to Babylon. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. And it'll get heavier and heavier as we go. The traditional sigil of Lucifer features a style of bead often interpreted as inverted triangles or chalice shape. Your image mirrors this when overlaid downward triangle angle on the filled central circle. Wow. It doesn't stop there. It also has radiating elements. The spikes or rays around the circle invoke the morning star aspect of Lucifer or Venus. And it's meant to invoke illumination or forbidden knowledge. When the Bible says that Satan's the god of this world, a lowercase god, you really should believe it. So all in that, so far we have Lucifer's sigil. We also have the morning star, Venus. Third, the Art Deco flair, a modern adaptation of 20th century occult revivals like those in Aleister Crowley. Do you know how high up he was in the US GOV? And the sigil originates in Renaissance demonology when it served the pictorial signature for summoning Lucifer. This right here is why I'm not just throwing sigils at you. It says in occult traditions, drawing and using a sigil without preparation is said to invite unintended energies. We know. That's why I go off all the time about creators sharing demonic bullcrap, utter debauchery on purpose for views. Because they're bringing demons in your house. So they can get a check. Really makes me mad, but I digress. You can see the percentages of which sigils and whatever right here. Fast forward. Now this I figured out a few days ago, but I forgot to show you. Time magazine. Enough. This was within, I believe, 24 hours of the event. Of course, completely unrelated, the wording on this. Completely unrelated, of course. Enough.
Is that really what it is? If it is, it's very crazy. Shout outs to the Real Moon Henry on this catch.
Allegedly. It isn't allegedly that this is his family members telling me these details, but it is definitely, allegedly what they say until we can hear both sides. Lance, they told us, went to live with his relatives, so no longer in the house with his mother and father. Again, allegedly. His parents kicked him out junior year of high school because he was problematic. He allegedly has a lot of issues with drinking. That Christmas, approximately 3 years ago, he almost overdosed. He graduates high school, and then essentially the extended family says, you know, we can't keep you in our home because of his behavior. Just this past Easter Sunday, they are telling me that he showed up on drugs and he was spouting out of his mouth about political stuff. And at this point, they felt that he could not be around children. Lance's family is telling me that they are not buying the current story and that they feel that more people are involved. He turned 22, they told me, back in August, and that he was, as I said, very into this dark web stuff. They told us that Tyler and him had been living together for at least a year, that they had not met Tyler, despite the fact that Lance had wanted to foster that meeting, that the two of them, this couple, Tyler and Lance, were living in that townhome that is owned by Lance's family, and that Tyler was paying rent to Lance. And Lance then, of course, was forwarding that payment to them. People are saying, who live in the neighborhood, that they noticed some unusual traffic. And this individual family member said to me, yup, we are hearing the exact same thing, that they would prod that narrative further. But there was some unusual traffic, a lot of cars that were seen outside leading up to the shooting in the days before the shooting or the week before this shooting. I'll straighten out that timeline for you and get real specific, because I will pin down when exactly this was happening. But leading up to the shooting, that there were unusual traffic in the driveway where Tyler Robinson and Lance lived. Cars that were not recognized in the neighborhood. This was not a couple that hosted people. It wasn't like they were expecting them to have parties. And so other people are saying that is something that struck them as odd. But there were apparently lots of different license plates, and it therefore caused a little neighborhood kerfluffle, because other people were not able to park their cars because there were so many people that were at this house. Unusual traffic. Again, if I don't feel good about what we're hearing, okay, and Lance Twig's family doesn't feel good about what we're hearing, there's more people involved.
Yo, my best friend don't go this hard for me. Shout outs to Candace Owens. They done turn her into John Wick. My question is, from this townhouse with these two guys and all this traffic, where does George Zen come into play?
All right, you see these overhead doors right here up the whole thing? It would have ran to another structure that was right here, just like this one. See how the overhead doors run into it? They took them out and closed them. This is a port down here. It looks like I'm in Europe right now. You didn't know where I was at, you think I'm in Europe. How much of this did they rip out and put brick in? Look at it. So all the way up the top. They installed the brick around the window. This is an old world building. They added the brick at the top and pulled it out to make windows. There's the old cobblestone roads right on the waterfront. Watch me find a dock cleat down here. Bang, gotcha, dock cleat, all day. They said this wasn't for boats. Who's tying your horse up here? Whole dock cleat.
Yeah, who's tying a horse up there? Shout outs to Indios 369. Shout out to Troy, New York. A lot of history out there for sure. He nailed it on the head for sure. The dock cleat.
As the past Grand Master of the great state of Missouri, I'm very much interested in the Masonic Service Association. In the last war, we had 49 Grand Lodges trying to do the work of one. In unity is strength. This time, when our boys come marching home victorious, none will look askance and say, where was Freemasonry in this hour of need? Approximately 10% of the boys in the service are Freemasons. Another 15% are close kin of Freemasons. Through the association, Freemasonry is meeting the challenge of their great need. At this very moment, in foxholes and on shipboard, beneath the sea and in the air, countless hands are being clasped in fraternal recognition as brothers find one another in the darkness as well as in the daylight. And countless fathers, bravely wishing Godspeed to their departing sons, are saying, boy, when your hour of darkness and loneliness comes, find a Freemason and tell him you're the son of a Freemason, and you'll find a friend. And through our great association, the flower of Freemasonry is being made to bloom in the rocky soil of war's desolation. And the fruits of Freemasonry are being shared by every boy and girl who wears the uniform. There's nothing for sale in Masonic service centers. Neither mineral nor metal is the price of Freemasonry service to our boys. And yet, our centers are supported without fanfare or public appeal, because in our heart glows the great light of charity, unostentatious but sincere. Each of us giving generously because we have seen the light and heard the cry of the widow's son.
Want to know why there's so much 33 symbolism surrounding the Charlie Kirk assassination? Because this was a Masonic ritual called King Kill 33. Kennedy was the first King Kill 33 ritual, Martin Luther King was probably the second, and now we have Charlie Kirk as the third. 3 K's Kennedy, King, and now Charlie Kirk, KKK. K is the 11th letter of the alphabet, 3 K's, 33. It took 33 hours to capture the shooter. Charlie Kirk was killed on September 10th, 33 days before his October 14th birthday. We've all seen this photo of the 3 rows of baseball caps with 47 on it. 4 plus 7 equals 11. Times 3, 33. 47 is an important number to the Masonic system. It's the 47th proposition of Euclid, also known as the Pythagorean's theorem. This represents the Masonic symbol circling the square. It means doing the impossible, like the killing of the king ritual.
Whoa, that's a lot to unpack right there. Shout out to symbolism syndrome.
Okay. I was standing from probably the 3rd row in the bottom. I saw hit, I heard the shot ring out. I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck, down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off.
Deb, we're not doing this.
Get off me! Get off me!
Emotions are running high right now.
Get off me!
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Why is there not a single photo of the suspect in the Charlie Kirk tragedy with the rifle that they claim they found in the wooded area near the Utah Valley University campus? Just think about that for a second. Hundreds of security cameras, CCTV footage, but for some reason, before, after, or during the tragedy, there is no footage, as of right now, that has been released of the suspect with the rifle. I find that to be a little bit odd. I find it odd that no one in the mainstream media is asking that question. If the suspect took that rifle and placed it in the nearby wooded area as we're being told, why are there not photos of him carrying that off the roof? We have a video of him jumping off the roof, but it doesn't appear that he was carrying the rifle. Some might say, well, Jackson, maybe he disassembled the rifle. I don't think that could have fit in his small knapsack that he was carrying with him. And if he did disassemble the rifle, why was the rifle found in the wooded area reassembled with the scope on it? Something is not adding up here. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just simply wondering what's going on and why no one in the mainstream media is asking this very simple question. They also told us that he was wearing tactical gear, but in the photos, he's not wearing any tactical gear. So did he disassemble his rifle and change his clothes within seconds? And if he did change his clothes, why don't we have any photos of the tactical gear that he was wearing? Why don't we just have photos of this Mauser rifle that was found in a nearby wooded area? And also, one last thing. The FBI claims that this conversation took place before and right after the tragedy on Discord with some of his friends about where he left the rifle and his clothes, his tactical gear and whatnot. But Discord came out with an official statement saying no such conversation took place on our platform. So who's lying, Discord or the FBI? Why is no one addressing this? It's very odd.
Extremely odd. I think that's a big question right there. Why isn't anybody addressing this? Shout out to Godfather of Chaos, asking all the right questions.
Maybe we should also ask the question, is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? This is a question, that maybe we shouldn't.
even if they are politicians in the West. They are going to fall. What do you mean the politicians will fall?
And the Israeli hard-right government has a mandate. I gotta be careful the way I say this.
The next level is going to be massive assassinations. We have the right to bring them up and to bring them down.
Charlie Kirk shot and killed while speaking at an event in Utah Valley University this afternoon.
Bibi Netanyahu and that phone call, what took place was a couple of weeks ago before Charlie lost his life. Charlie was in the Hamptons. He had essentially what was staged, an intervention was staged by Bill Ackman, because Charlie's thoughts, Charlie's rational thoughts about Israel were a no-no. This is not the route that you should be going on. And Charlie was surrounded by his friends, his quote-unquote friends. Bill Ackman was very upset, and threats were made. He was asked to dispute this narrative. Max Blumenthal went out to him today, and Bill Ackman came back and said, I have receipts I can show you, and he did not provide the receipts. It was at this time that Bibi Netanyahu was called, and Charlie was invited to Israel. This was an under duress situation, I would say. And I know that Charlie was offered a ton of money in this moment. Turning Point, I guess, if it needed to go to a higher level, would have gone to an even higher level than it already was at. And I know for a fact that Charlie denied that funding. That Charlie denied, and what Bibi didn't include there, he declined to go to Israel for, I would describe this as like, re-education camp. We've seen it. You made an uh-oh, but we can help you. Another person that was there, and I am not surprised this person was there if you've been listening to my show, Seth Dillon. I said, any comment on this one, Seth? He didn't answer last night. This morning I said, need a comment ASAP, please. He didn't answer. Then I followed that up and I said, trying again here, you were present when Ackman lost his mind on Charlie and when Bibi invited him to Israel and Charlie refused. Text messages immediately following this meeting are circulating. I find Ackman's statement, as though the meeting was somehow cordial, to be incredibly disturbing. Are you at all disturbed by that tweet? Do you feel, as I do, that this tweet significantly betrays the defined purpose and mood of his, and I presume your, final meeting with Charlie Kirk? ? He was unable to speak to me, but he did place some frantic calls to Turning Point USA. Yeah. You see, I went out to Seth, but I also went out to two other people who were at this meeting, and nobody is willing to go on record. They're all messaging each other, trying to figure out a coordinated response to say that, no, this was all quite cordial, but no one wants to go on record and describe it as cordial because they know someone's leaking, because someone's got a guilty conscience about what happened at the Hamptons.
If you aren't watching Candace Owens right now, then I believe you are missing out on her biggest breakthrough yet. Candace Owens, who is good friends with Charlie Kirk, is doing an investigative report basically on the last few months, weeks of Charlie Kirk's life. She is calling out every single person she believes was putting a lot of pressure on Charlie at the time. Starting with Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman, who is a hedge funder, was funding Charlie money. But Candace is also alleging that just a few weeks before Charlie passed, he was doing lunch in the Hamptons with Bill Ackman and Seth Dillon, and that this lunch was to pressure Charlie into visiting Israel. This conversation got heated, threats were made, and Charlie was offered a large sum of money just before his death. During this podcast, Candace was also suggesting that Charlie was having a religious awakening, that he was going to Mass, and by Mass, she means Catholic Mass. Charlie was a known evangelist Christian, but it sounds based on what Candace was saying that he was really conforming to Catholicism. Candace then goes on to show Charlie Kirk on the Megyn Kelly show, where Charlie is really venting about his feelings towards Israel. Candace shows a number of clips where Charlie's tune is really changing in regards to his stance on Israel. Candace also shares some clips that this guy right here takes an interview not even 24 hours after Charlie's death to talk about a letter he got from Charlie, which, by the way, he doesn't show the full letter. He actually doesn't show any of the letter. He just talks about how he told Charlie to come visit. Essentially, Candace is claiming he is misrepresenting the entire letter, and that letter really included Charlie saying, "I am not coming to Israel." In a previous episode that Candace did, she does go on to say that Charlie was under a lot of pressure by many people with a lot of power. She also said in her episode that she dropped today that she plans to call out more names by the end of the week. This girl will stop at nothing, and I am tuning in to her theories on all of this.
Oh, I thought it was just a one-off. It's a whole series. Shout out to Shannon Hill News for breaking it down, letting us know who the players are in the game. This is just crazy. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk.
That anxious or that quick moving that was going on the other side of the vehicle. Oh my gosh, he's completely alive. He was trying to get away. He was.
Kris Jenner is a new face of MAC makeup, and every time I see a picture of Kris Jenner, I ask myself, how? And I understand that they say that it's plasticized, but I'm kind of not buying it. There's only so many ways that you can stretch the skin, especially at almost 70 years old. I don't think it's just plastic surgery. If you want to try to convince me that there is a way to make a 70-year-old woman who has had numerous plastic surgery procedures look younger, if not the same age as her 30 and 40-year-old daughters, okay. But how are we aging in reverse at the neck? And she's not the only one. The same goes for Martha Stewart. Aging just like everybody else, and then one day, aging backwards from the toe up. What's going on? Is there some kind of elite flappy neck procedure that us peasants don't know about yet? Because how is this happening? Like I've said, there's only so many ways you can stretch the skin, you guys. And this person looks nothing like this person. This person is flawless. Almost 70 years old. 84 years old. What's going on?
Yo, that's insane. Shout out to A Truth for You. I feel like this is an episode on a Netflix series I just seen. Her and Martha Stewart. I'm sure they have access to some new technology that isn't on the market yet.
I don't expect everyone to support him, but I think everyone can get behind the fact that we need real change in our healthcare industry.
After a long morning in court, a New York City judge just dropped the terrorism charge against Luigi Mangione. The murder charge still stands.
When the terrorism charge was dropped, we were all super elated.
Did you camp out last night?
I did 30 hours. I'm number 2. When you see him on camera, he's photogenic. When you see him in person, you see the paleness, the dehydration, and you realize like this is a person who's actually actively suffering.
I literally can't believe this is happening. This is the craziest thing I've ever done. Let's go!
Clear for takeoff. Off the ground and approaching cruising altitude. We're climbing. 140. 150. 160. Michelle, you're at 170 miles per hour.
Oh my god! That is so cool!
Wound coming into his neck right around where I'm indicating, and he tips backwards right after he's shot, and he brings his arms up, but actually when he's bringing his arms up, he's exhibiting what we call decorticate posturing, which means his spinal cord has been severed from his brain and it's no longer communicating with the rest of his body. So he was instantly rendered a quadriplegic. So that movement you see is actually just a reflexive movement by his nervous system trying to figure out what's going on. Then you see him tipping to the side and blood start gushing out of his wound on his neck, which to me means it's an artery that's hit, more likely than not, the carotid artery and the jugular vein. So he's hemorrhaging heavily out the side of his neck as he's falling to the ground. Now, this spinal cord being severed at this level could be below C5, C6. So he could still be breathing and still be alive for a period of time, which he was when he was rushed to the hospital and died. But the damage that was done was so severe, even if he had survived, he probably would have had a stroke and he would have been a quadriplegic.
He did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it. Didn't hate Netanyahu. He wasn't out there with a placard saying that, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. And there's no question that Bibi's defenders on the internet will call me a liar or a kook, but that's a fact. And enough text messages exist that I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true. Shortly after that speech, there was a very intense attack on Charlie, and to some extent on me, not that I really noticed. But on him, I have no donors. He had $100 million worth of donors. And so, because he was involved in a different project from just yapping on the internet, which is what I do for a living, he was dependent to a great extent on his donors, of course. It's a nonprofit. And they went after him and tormented him. Not all, of course, many were supportive, but the ones who were offended by my speech, and there was a small, very intense group who were, tormented Charlie Kirk until the day he died.
To those of you who think that you are going to replace Charlie Kirk, okay? Kings are born. You don't just get to depose and tell us that we're going to follow this individual, okay? I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA. You put a shill in Charlie Kirk's chair, in Charlie Kirk's company, and you try to tell us to follow that individual, I will be an enemy of you. There will be nothing that can stop me. Okay? And I want you guys to understand, this is not a threat, this is a promise. There will be nothing that can stop me. I will release every single text message. So to those of you who are trying that, I'm seeing the messages, I am telling you to back off right now. Like right now, don't do it, okay? Don't you think about it. I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who you were that were exerting pressure. Don't you pretend to be noble now and say nice things about Charlie Kirk and think you're going to slide into his chair, okay? Over my dead body, which I'm sure can be arranged.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. If you enjoyed this video, please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.